Hi, friends.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Friends of Disney.
In case you need a reminder, I'm Jonelle,
And I'm Sean, and this is Stitch.
and Megan's normally here.
But Megan's not doing so hot right now, so it's just us. Anyways, today's episode is back to the 90s. So radical.
Tubular.
That's 80s. Cool it, boomer.
Okay, well, you know what's worse?
What?
Okay, so this weekend I had a sale at a
Mhm.
craft fair to sell my crochet toys.
Yeah.
Anyways, they were playing only 70s music at University High School, and what's sad is I could sing along to all of them.
See, I don't know about you, but I didn't know any of the movie songs in this movie except for the last one.
So this movie was kind of a weird one for me.
Hold on. By the way, this movie that we're talking about is a goofy movie, the Hallmark Disney movie of the 90s for 90s kids. Like, it's not like the Renaissance 90s Disney movies are like peak, like Lion King and stuff, but I don't know. It's been everywhere on social media lately.
Yeah. And so this movie's kind of interesting because this is like my first time like actually fully watching it as an
Mhm.
adult
Same here.
because I only remember watching pieces of it as a child, and
Mostly the Bigfoot scene for me.
for me it was the ending.
See, I never actually saw I recognize the music to the ending,
Yeah.
but I never saw the ending until it blew up all over social media again.
Yeah, and for me, like, you know how like, and I guess this is just me paying attention to how things actually work, but
Hmm.
as a child, when we watch movies, our perception is so much different than an adult. And as I'm watching this, like I kept having like almost like pictures of like the what I had visualized as a child,
Hmm.
and kind of realized like a different perspective of a movie and how like movie makers get this involved for children to watch it. And as I'm watching this, I'm realizing, yeah, we only remember like those big dramatic scenes or like big popular scenes because they make them in the movie to help keep kids engaged.
Not just, I mean, it's to help keep kids engaged, but also if you think about it, it just helps plot.
Yeah.
Like, you could clearly see that like the arc of this movie is very typical, you know, and especially like leading up to like Goofy and Max's big fight and stuff before this when he like pulls over the car and like the car's in the water and stuff like that.
Which, by the way, that car should have sank.
It should have sank. But you know what? They also somehow got from hovering hundreds of feet above a waterfall to somehow at power line. So here we are.
And somehow traveling faster by water on the top of their car.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like this movie, that weird jump cut just didn't make like you can tell it was just we need to wrap this movie up with something.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it ended up working though, because
Mhm.
at the end, it gave me the same nostalgia of, in one of the Scooby-Doo movies with,
Mm.
like, the vampire sisters.
The Hex Girl.
Yes!
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is a pure core memory.
See, I find it interesting looking at this movie because from the beginning, you can tell it's an era of the 90s. Like, they portrayed 90s high school flawlessly.
Were you also, like, paying attention to the voice actors?
Always.
Okay. So like this was also like my first time of like paying attention to the voice actors and then like visualizing the people who were acting and like what other movies they had done.
Hmm.
Which obviously a lot of these were 90s movies, but um there was like an era of the 90s that like you just can't replace it. And
Mm-mm.
we're 2000s babies, okay? Megan is the true core 90s kid out of this group.
Megan was born in 99 and we are born in 2000, so we're adopted 90s babies, but
Yeah. And I mean, I was like right on the cusp because I was born in January.
okay, shush. Okay, let me be my adopted 90s babies.
It's okay.
I'm an adopted 90 baby.
At least you're still in the first quarter of
That's
2000.
that's the thing. There's this weird sub generation between the millennials and Gen Z where it's like we have all the same experiences,
Yeah.
but like the hallmarker is like 9/11 happened. We were too young to remember 9/11.
Yeah. Because we were only one.
Yeah, we were alive when it happened, but we are too young to really know anything about it. And so there is this weird sub generation from about 98 to 2004 ish.
Yeah. And it's just a really weird phenomena as we grow up
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, you're not in touch. And it's like, we are very much in touch, but we also understand with the new generation.
Mm-hmm. We are the bridge between generations, is what I would like to refer. Like we see like boomers and millennials don't get
Millennials.
well, no, so we see that like boomers and millennials don't get along.
Yeah.
But you have the Gen Xers in there, right in the middle. They're fine.
Yeah.
Millennials try to fight with Gen Z, but they're having more issue with the younger Gen Z, Gen Alpha babies.
Yes. And they get it confused with the Gen Z babies.
Exactly. And so we are filling in for the Gen like in the Gen X.
We're to blame for Tide Pods.
No. That happened when we were in high school. No, that is millennials' fault.
You saying it wasn't high schoolers who started that?
Shh. I'm trying to blame the millennials. No, but anyways, back to the Goofy movie though. I found at the beginning of this movie really interesting because all I could think about was something Megan told me about when we were watching Grease the musical
Mm.
once, and I had never truly seen the musical Grease from like beginning to end. And so I remember she was telling me about how Grease is actually the beginning of Grease is widely loved because of how well it established the era that it takes place in. And I just can't help this movie did it so well, like the cheese whiz, the spray cheese and everything, the weird popular student body.
So, did you end up watching like any of the other 90s movies that these actors were in?
Possibly I couldn't place the voice actors other than Goofy's because he's the voice of Goofy.
Oh my
If you
gosh.
were to tell me them, I'd probably recognize them.
All of Max's friends, I kept thinking of because like we know how much of a weird oldie I am.
Yes, you are a weird oldie.
Yeah, I was replaying every single one of my VHS tape movies in my head as I was listening to their voice in this movie because I was just like, "Oh my gosh, it's this person from this movie."
Oh my god, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm gonna stay on, guys, but I just realized something. Because I was looking at you said VHS tapes, Jonelle, and I just realized I got it.
Show the camera.
Obviously. I didn't realize I owned it on VHS. There.
Guys, we have a Goofy movie on VHS. Look at how old we are. We're still old
See,
enough to have a VHS player and know how to play it and use it.
I have one. It works.
I do too. And it has a DVD part.
Same.
Yeah.
See, we are 90s babies.
Okay.
But
Now
anyways,
I gotta look at this. Oh.
but no. Get a phone.
Well, no, I want to. I'm now thinking of the movie. Oh, God. I
but
almost typed in Father and Flaw.
but no, I thinking again about the intro. I think it's stupid that Max didn't get more credit among his peers for what he pulled off in the assembly. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like in today's schooling age, if someone did that, they would be like praised for being like a king almost.
Yeah.
It bothers me that for some reason he was still portrayed as like this weird, scrawny, like nerd kid, and I'm like, are you kidding? Like, are you kidding?
I honestly, when I was rewatching it, I wasn't paying much attention to the beginning, which is like kind of weird. I loved the road trip
hmm
once things started getting good.
I felt so bad for Goofy.
Oh my God, same.
Like, so Megan fell asleep while I was watching it. While we were watching it the first time. I obviously watched it all the way through, but like watching the way Max treated Goofy. Like, don't get me wrong, teenagers and parents, yeah, they're not supposed to get along.
Yeah.
Basically, that's just the point of development that the teenagers are at. But like Max was cruel. Like, even when I was in high school, like, yeah, me and my dad didn't get along and we fought a handful of times. I wouldn't say no to a vacation.
Facts. Yeah.
Like, I've never been camping. I would have been excited. I was excited the first time I got to go camping, even though I got rained out. Like, I don't know. Like,
It depends on for me who I'm going camping with because also like you know how to judge like who's going to be a good camper like if they're going to go with your flow
hmm
because there's survivalist type of campers, there's the glampers like me, and then there's like the casual campers
hmm
that like bring necessities to cook but then like also go do hiking and things like that, which I mean, not to say glampers don't do that, but most of the time we like to sit out in the woods and talk all day.
Yeah, I would. Well, I'd be the person that'd like to go exploring.
I mean, I would like to do some exploring. I just don't want to like get worn out exploring, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where you take the car and then like you go to the beach.
Yeah,
Okay, we need to go on a camping trip now.
I agree. I was just thinking the same thing, actually.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
But no, it's really, I mean, no, Max did him dirty. Like, I don't blame Max for being upset. Like, yeah, he had asked out Roxanne to go to this dance, like this party or whatever. And I don't know about you, high school parties were never much of a thing for me in high school.
They're not much of a thing growing up in a small town.
I don't think they're much of a thing now, just generally.
College parties are still a thing, but
College parties, yeah, but I think the era of like high school parties kind of came in the 90s and stayed in the 90s in like the early 2000s.
and like if I'm being honest, because I went to college parties, so I know how those things work. If I'm being honest, the only way high schoolers now are getting into parties is through college.
Yeah.
By dating a college freshman and then going to a house party, and then that is where high schoolers are drinking and things like that.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's sad, but
Because those houses, they don't check for IDs,
no.
they don't care about the girls' ages, which is also very concerning.
And the girls don't care about the guys' ages.
Yeah, that is also true. They do not. And it's and like we live in like a relatively like not super big city, but big enough
Mm-hmm.
that like the high school and the colleges nearby, students who are in high school are still able to have pretty close relationships to college students.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting looking at it generationally, like we've been talking about, like you hear boomers, they talk about like when I went to school, we had to like cross the desert in 3 days in the snow just to get to school. Like culture through each generation has more or less grown more and more forgive me, for it'll make sense as I get like more conservative, like
Mhm.
not as outgoing. Like we're not gonna go to parties. We're not gonna be doing the dumb stuff. It's like almost filtering out the dumb stuff through each generation.
You know, it's kind of funny.
Hmm.
It's just like I'm thinking of like when I go on TikTok and then how our generation is just like the true zillennials are just like, I can't afford to go do this. Like, so instead, I sit at home and I crochet and I knit because it's the only thing I can do that I have fun and get rid of my anxiety. And so we see a lot of our generation creating hobbies because they can't afford to really go out and have fun.
Well, and something that makes me sad, genuinely, is how what you do for fun changes as you grow up
Oh,
in a
absolutely.
sucky way. It's sucky. Like I remember all the way back to like elementary school, I'd be out at like a park playing games with my friends, no question about it.
Mm,
Middle school, even up to high school, it was more of like the same. Like in high
hanging
school,
out with your friends, playing video games.
not even that, like outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a thing for like even me and my siblings, we would play Foursquare in the street. Like we draw the squares and every summer we were the ones that did Foursquare, but we would get the whole neighborhood involved. They'd see us playing Foursquare and we'd have like a line of people, including adults. Not joking, playing Foursquare. But like when you become an adult, you can't just go to a park and play like a game or whatever with your friends. You can't just, you know, they try to push more sport games as you get older, like even in PE, like elementary school PE is all games, but like when you hit middle and high school, it's all like exercise, like traditional exercise and sports for exercise. You don't see adults like getting buds together and like, hey, let's go hit a baseball. You don't see that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it makes me sad.
Let's go to spin class, bro.
Let's go to a bar. That's their method. It's let's go to a bar.
Which is also a really sad thing because, like, not that drinking is okay, but at the same time, like, sociable drinking is fine. But we are kind of encouraging that, like, an only time to go have, like, fun is going out and drinking with your friends. And so that encourages a behavior at home of almost a connection of, like, well, the only time I had a good time was when I was drinking. So it builds that connection and it
Yep.
leads to adults drinking more. And
We don't have good methods of being able to be sociable in a way that's fun
yeah.
without either spending ridiculous amounts of money. Like for us, we do what we call child's gambling, where it's just basically us going to like a kid's arcade, like Chuck E. Cheese type thing.
Dude, I'm so excited when they build Dave and Buster's here. Because you know how many more games they're going to have?
True.
Like, if
That's gonna be really dangerous for us.
I know,
But like the thing is that's still aimed for kids though. You see what I mean? Like you don't see these types of things
just for adults.
aimed for adults. Exactly. It's linked with unhealthy behaviors. Like yeah, casinos is
The same thing.
it's the same thing with the alcohol where it's a sociable activity, but it's a can lead to a connection that builds an unhealthy behavior versus again like high schoolers. Let's go to your friend's house and hang out. If you go up to as an adult to a friend's house, it's for dinner. You maybe play a game and you leave.
Yeah. And I mean, for us, it's record,
It's recording.
talking, and then heading home.
Pretty much.
And, and I feel like that's kind of where the hardship is just like our generation, we grew up going outside and playing with our friends or just spending the entire afternoon with them.
And now you can't do that as an adult for social expectations. And people criticize how much we rely on like video games and technology. And it's because it's a source of fun that's almost treated now, we have to treat it like a guilty pleasure because in public, we're not allowed to.
Yeah.
In public, that's viewed as bad and childish, which isn't fair. So you have people that like yeah that like enjoy reading in their introvert time or knitting and crocheting and stuff. For
I
me,
mean,
it's
don't get me wrong, I have a million different hobbies, and we know this.
hell. My freaking free time is besides work and school right now is anything technology related with the podcast and stuff, which is really fun to me. But like, I would love to be able to just go out. Like, I'm excited because I'm planning to go see like my family here soon. Me and my brother are planning to play Foursquare, and I am excited to actually play a regular game outside.
You know what game I kind of miss if I played it outside?
Hmm.
It was Chinese tag.
I'd never played that one. I've heard of regular tag, freeze tag, toilet tag, blob tag.
So in Oregon, Chinese tag is there's two lines. So there's like a bar here and a bar here. Oh, hey, okay, you guys can see this. So if you're watching, I'm fake drawing two lines. Sean's side of the couch, there'll be a line here that's
Mm-hmm.
behind the Goofy movie, and then here there's another line.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is there are two bars, and you have to run underneath one of them, run like either run underneath the bar or jump over it on the side, and then you just keep running around in a circle. And so you both start off on one end, so like I'd be here, the other person would be here, and then you hop over to the bar on the right, you run down, and then you hop over to the bar on the right again, and you keep doing that until you end up tagging someone. But there's also some exceptions because it is two bars. You can have a waterfall, which is you run straight down the middle and then you catch the person and tag them. And then once they're tagged, they're kicked out. And then you have the
Oh.
next person go in.
Does this have to do with those two like gymnast bars that are often at like elementary playgrounds? Okay, now this makes starting to make more sense.
Yeah, so that's what Chinese tag is.
S-
We played that all the time in Oregon, and it was literally one of the best games
Oh, I forgot. Also state
ever.
tag. I also had state tag.
State tag?
No, okay. So there's regular tag, right?
Yeah.
Then you have freeze tag. Everyone knows freeze tag.
Freeze.
Yeah, like they tag and you freeze, right?
Yeah.
Then you had toilet tag, which for us was you get tagged and then you had to like
Go flush them.
you had to get in this position where you're like this, and then
Yeah.
someone had to come
And
flush you.
flush you so you could.
Then you had blob tag where you tag someone and then they become attached to you and you grow the blob as you tag more people and the whole blob goes to tag people. Yeah, it's really fun that way. It gets a little roughhousey.
Oh, that one's kind of similar to Pigs in a Blanket.
And then state tag was specifically out of my elementary school. They had this like painted outline of the United States with like each individual state as well.
Uh-huh.
And so you would have someone that would say a state, and then everyone would rush over to get to that state without being tagged.
Mm. We also did line tag in the gym, which was you're only allowed to walk on
On
the
the blue,
line.
yep, that one too. Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'm up to 6 different kinds of tag. Wow, tag is a versatile game. But
But
no,
like
but no, like I think our premise remains the same. That like there's no fun for adults without it being something bigger. Like Goofy taking his
okay,
son camping.
you know what we really need to do if we want to have this pure innocence fun?
Hmm.
Go to China. The adults still go to the park and play
Why can't we just do that here?
because it's seen as unacceptable for
I,
Americans to play.
you're not wrong, actually. So when we were in college, I put on this event. I think you remember. I think you did it once.
Mm-hmm.
It was a murder mystery game in like the main building of our school. I called it Murder in the Hub because the hub was the building. Did you join in on that like for like one round?
I don't remember, so I don't think
Well,
so.
well, me and the person that I was with, we were like doing this, putting this on. We were at a dollar store and we were in like for one of the games or whatever, we needed like a bunch of like little kid toys. So we were in like the kids' toy aisle at a dollar store, and we were laughing and making jokes because we're college students at a kids' dollar store. And we're like laughing about the kids' toys or whatever,
The slappy hands.
right? And like we knew that we were perfect okay, but this woman nearby freaking scowls at us basically. It was like, "You guys need to leave. You guys are really creeping me out. You guys are in a kids' aisle." Blah blah blah. And we're like, mind your business.
Like, we're just shopping.
Like, we're quite literally just shopping, but having fun doing it. And it's sad that, like, we see someone just trying to have fun
Yeah.
as inappropriate. Like, the default is to think it's inappropriate, which makes me sad. Like, if we were to go to a park, people would probably look at us funny.
Unless your son was there.
Unless he was there. Yes, he's my cop out now.
So what I'm hearing is that for Americans to have fun, you need to have children.
I can't say that on the podcast. Anyway, oh no, back to the movie. How did you feel when Goofy and Max were having their fight and and Max was like, "I have my own life now," and Goofy just said, "I know. I just wanted to be a part of it." That broke me.
It makes me think a little bit on the relationship with my grandma because I mean, I love her so much and I know she wants to be a part of it and I'm trying to let her in as much as I can.
She's a lot.
Uh yes, but you know, oh god, I can't do this.
It's okay. We'll keep it light. We'll keep it light.
I just really appreciate her
Mhm.
and I want to savor whatever moment I can with her,
I
which is why I was so like, even though I didn't do all the things I wanted to do at Disney World, it's never gonna replace that memory of being there with her.
no.
I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
Well, no, so the thing about that line that is so profound is this whole movie is focused on Max. Max's perspective and how he's feeling through all of it. And when you see this fight happening and you hear Goofy say that line, it's so powerful because it instantly the perspective shifts. Whether you're a kid watching it, whether you're an adult watching it, you hear that line and all of a sudden it's like clarity happens. And all I could think about is my son now, Casper Jr., almost said his name, Casper Jr., because Goofy's fears are fears that every parent has for their kids. You don't want them joining the gang, going into the electric chair like the principal somehow threatened. That was weird. But to hear Goofy make that kind of statement, it really showed how heartbroken he was over the things Max has done. And it's hard because as a parent, the general expectation, and I know I'm a young parent, so don't come after me in the comments. I know he's only 7 months, but these things come through my head. As a parent, there is this expectation that your problems don't get put onto the kid. You take on the kid's problems, not the other way around. But to hear Goofy break in that way of like, I just wanted to be part of your life and do something special with you, that that goes deep. And I can't imagine getting up to that point with my own son. And the thought of that happening makes me want to break. Like I couldn't imagine fighting in that way with him right now, obviously. But like,
You know what I really appreciate of Goofy though? Was when they were at the crossroads and Max had to decide whether to go to California or to the lake. Goofy remained decently calm about the situation, like at the beginning, showing Max, that he gave him trust still, and even though, he happened to glance upon the map, um, he still acted in the beginning as if he hadn't seen the map.
he did his absolute best. Like despite what he knew, he gave Max the choice. And Max obviously was he felt it when when they came to making that choice.
Yeah.
You know, he ended up making the wrong choice. We can say it was the wrong choice. And I don't know about you, I was kind of terrified when I saw Goofy's face after that, and how mad he was. That kind of terrified me to see Goofy that mad. But the thing with this movie is how much in a positive light it painted fatherhood. Because on YouTube for me, I've been seeing a lot of child support court cases,
Mm-hmm.
and almost all of them, it's the mom being the issue. And I hate to say this is going to sound really bad. It makes me happy because for the longest
Men are
time,
typically portrayed as,
terrible fathers.
yeah. Which I mean, I'm not any better because I will straight up tell you that my father was not the best person. Because I am definitely one of those people, but that's also because he was never in my life.
Yeah, but it's hard when we live in a society where the mom doesn't do any wrong. Not saying that moms are like not saying anything to diss moms. Megan's a great mom. I love my mom and stuff. Moms obviously do so much for their kids, but
It
that
doesn't change their actions that they made.
doesn't change their actions, but doesn't change that the father has just as much capacity. Single and even though Disney has a trend of killing off moms, the Goofy's portrayal as a single father raising Max is the truest form of like true single dad parenting. Like everyone else is royals. King Triton, he's a king first. We don't see him as Ariel's father really. We see him as King Triton, and it's like that with a lot of things. Mufasa was a good dad. Don't get me wrong, but he was Mufasa. He was a king. First.
Goofy's just goofy.
Goofy's just goofy. He's just a dad. There's nothing else to it. He's just a dad. And
And an occasional member of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
okay, the weird Mickey and Donald cameo that was in there in the whole like Guess Who Walt Disney.
Oh my god,
That was
yeah.
that was so funny.
Can you guess who I'm thinking about?
Walt Disney.
Disney.
My dad. No.
The ultimate daddy.
Megan just said ew in the distance.
Megan, were you saying ew to us?
Yes, she was.
Megan is grossed out by the comment of about Walt Disney, the ultimate daddy, the dead guy.
So, did you but did you catch the Disney Parks reference in the movie?
I definitely paid attention to Walt Disney, but no.
So, you know the whole possum land thing that they went to and they had like the little like music number that they had? It was a mimic of Country Bear Jamboree.
Oh.
I told you I missed that scene when we first watched it. But what was your thoughts on the music of this movie?
Pretty good.
Okay. The road trip song I have mixed feelings on. I think it was just a weird number.
I
The
wanted to go on the road trip.
yes. But I think the two power line songs, the beginning one and the last one, and the song that Max and Goofy sing after their fight, the nobody else but you. I thought that was such a cute song between them. And then yeah, I love the power line numbers.
But like also gosh, looking at their vacation is kind of the reason why I want to buy a van because there are so many things as you travel across the United States, like how they went to like a place of just like knitting and crochet essentially, like the House of Yarn.
Hmm. I so not sponsored, but me and Megan still do the paired app,
Uh-huh.
and we did this one quiz where it was like me and Meg, like you and Megan take like day trips or whatever, and I was like, no, we don't do day trips. We stay within the city of Spokane. I want to do so many more day trips.
Same.
And it's one of the things I hate about living here because I'm used to the west side where there's so many cities. Going to Seattle is a day trip.
Yeah.
You could go to Seattle and back. You leave Spokane, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, because
That's a full day trip just to get there.
well, and then like not to mention it, like the other cities outside of Spokane take like an hour to get there.
Like there's nothing
Yeah.
for a long while, and I'm like, West Side's not that way. Like, yes, it's really cramped with a lot of different cities, but there's so much more things to do because you can go to those different cities. Like they have ferries on the Sound, so you can go like Whidbey Island, Port Townsend, and ride the ferries. Hell, they even have a ferry that goes to Victoria, and you can get to Victoria and back in a day.
I went on that ferry.
Same here.
And
And
then
by the way, Victoria is in Canada, so you're talking being able to go to Canada and back, a whole other country and back in a day.
this is where my sister was born. Yes, fun fact, I went on a family vacation with my mom and my grandma's best friend, and my mom was pregnant, and then my sister was born.
With free healthcare.
Yes. But man, I just think of like day trips like that and in Oregon because Oregon is very similar like that of
Mhm.
Seattle where like almost everywhere you can get within an hour
Yep.
and like at least where I lived in Oregon, I was able to get to the coast in an hour. So then it was like you go to the coast, you go collect seashells, and then you come back home and
I remember the one day true day trip I ever had. Megan gets salty about it, but it was with you and a couple of our friends, and we went down to Moses Lake,
oh yeah,
went and saw Mamma Mia the
that
musical.
was so fun.
That was a fun. Megan still gets salty about it because she wasn't there.
But instead, like
But
here where we live, we have to take weekend trips because like
it's a full weekend because it takes so long to get to those places.
you don't have time to recoup on the way back. And
No.
that's part of it is just like I think this is part of like our personalities and we're pretty introverted.
We're introverted, but we love to do shit.
Yes.
Like we
And
sorry for the swearing, but like we love to do stuff.
yeah. And we don't like to do those alone
No.
either. So it's like only our select few introverted friends we feel okay going with. But then once we finish that day, we're worn out.
We're worn out. Let me go to sleep. Like I think I literally fell asleep on the way back from that trip in the car.
Yeah. And it's just like we have to rebuild our social status when we get home. And when you're in the car with all your friends and it's taking like a whole day to get home,
Mm-hmm.
that is no bueno, man. You're still tired.
Yep. I get
Yeah, you
it.
get it, bud.
No, I 100% agree. And like I've been like trying to like discover stuff. Like there's one road trip I want to do up north because we literally have a state park called Crawford State Park with like limestone caves.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
And I'm like, I want to walk in there and say I own the place. It's my last name. I own the place as far as I'm concerned.
Can I go there? I want to see the limestone.
I'm planning on going there this summer with my sister and Megan and stuff. So yeah.
What we really need to do is we do need to go on a camping trip
I agree.
where I say we go to Oregon so that way we can get a camping site, go for the like weekend or week, and then we can like
Mhm.
drive to nearby cities of the place and still explore.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Oregon, we can get some free raspberries, and I know where. And they're delicious.
I know where to get free blackberries.
I also know where to get those too. And we can try salmon berries.
I've tried salmon berries.
They're so good.
I know. You forget, I grew up on the west side. The west side is like an extension of Oregon.
Yes, I do forget that. Oregon is kind of like its weird own unique culture though.
Oregon is like progressive hippies, I feel like.
Except Portland because that's now changed. But
Yeah.
yeah, in general, yes.
But no, it's weird how much I enjoyed this movie. Like I didn't think I was going to.
The
Like
perfect cast at the end.
I thought that was such a like a cute nod of like when Max did the perfect cast to like save Goofy and stuff. I think that's just such a cute nod of like he remembered it, you
Yeah.
know? Like despite him not caring at all in this movie, he somehow remembered it. But I don't know, the Powerline concert was I still can't get over the weird jump cut. That was so weird. I remember warning Megan, like, there's going to be a weird jump cut. You're just going to have to accept it and say, yep, it makes sense.
Yeah, because honestly, I kind of wish they would have, like, just, like, I understand, he gotta meet Max's girlfriend and then the family and things like that. But at the same time, kind of wish they just kept that road trip going.
I think that just means we have to watch an extremely goofy movie.
Yeah, that is true, because there is another one,
There is another one.
which I've actually not seen that one at all.
I think I saw that one, and I think I've seen that one rather than this one, which is odd because I, I thought they were once one and the same. I won't lie. I thought they were
Oh
one
my,
and the same.
that's me with the live action Scooby-Doo movies.
There's so many of those.
The Scary Island and
Yes.
the other one.
Monsters Unleashed. There's
Yeah.
this there's like the Scooby Doo, but then there's like Scooby Doo Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah, I get those two intertwined all the time. It's like Beyonce
Beyonce?
and Rihanna.
Oh, and Rihanna. Okay.
Yeah. How I get the two of them confused all the time.
Don't come after her. It's okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, try not to come after me. At least not right now. Actually, just kidding. It's way in the future. But
But no, I don't know. Do you think this movie it's fair that this movie earned its place in 90s culture?
yeah.
Do you think that this movie is underrepresented in the hallmark of 90s movies?
Not really.
You don't think so compared to the other 90s movies of Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Hercules, Pocahontas?
I don't think it's sorry. Um to be honest, I never really watched Pocahontas that much because my family kind of told me not to watch it.
It's riddled with problems, which we'll get to talk about at some point.
Oh my god, I saw a post today on Facebook for like AI taking different movie stars and putting them in
Oh
a
my god.
Pocahontas outfit.
I've seen that same like trend with so many different like princesses. It's not even funny. And the thing is, they'll at some point also switch in like male actors.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is because I grew up on a tribe, um obviously a lot of my friends on Facebook happen to be indigenous people. And I mean, rightfully so, they're getting mad at these AI pictures of, people who are not indigenous being portrayed as an indigenous actor through AI. But, you know, we didn't get a release that there's going to be a live action Pocahontas either. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is there to rage bait about?
Yeah.
You're getting mad at a non existing living thing, creating a non existing living idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is probably living because they're like, oh, what's Disney gonna do next? Live action Pocahontas.
Yeah.
But,
Anyways, I don't think there's anything else we can really say.
I could ramble on about a lot of stupid
I think it's
stuff.
fair to say that we see eye to eye.
And I think Nova does too.
Yep. Okay, friends, we're gonna let you go. And
Goodbye, friends.
Bye.
Like, subscribe.
All the things.